biggest scam that you've been sold is that your addiction is the reason that you're not successful. The most common one I've seen is the hub addiction. I mean, look at this guy. He's made like 4 videos about quitting. He just knows that it's an infinite view glitch and that his viewers think that if they stop watching adult content, all of a sudden they're gonna become successful.
This is true. This is a thing where you identify a problem and then you sell the cure to it, right? Like you make this thing out to be the worst thing ever, the one single thing that's holding people back from success, and then you tell them that by doing these things, they can overcome this. And usually it can help them. It might not help them overcome it, but the reality is whether they overcome it or not doesn't change the fact that if they do, or if they did, it wouldn't change their life that much. You know, I think a lot of that's placebo. I think the fact that you think quitting porn is going to change your life might actually help you to change your life, right? It actually in reality doesn't. I mean, it's good for you, but I think the motivation and the drive that people gain from idealizing a version of themselves that doesn't watch porn helps them out more than actually not watching porn. We celebrate the idiot, pretend that we're so into it, dumb down our intelligence just to make us relevant. I don't know what you just quoted, but that sounds hard.
People channel all of their weaknesses through one insecurity and think that if they quit, all of a sudden, all of their problems are going to be solved. I can't talk to girls because I have low confidence because I watch too much corn. I don't have the energy to work out because I obliterate my sausage 5 times a day. I can't focus because of it. All my problems stem from this one thing. And self-improvement creators know this frame of thinking and exploit it to the max, which is why there's 5 million videos about quitting corn and very few about taking active steps towards your goals. Because you want to know the brutal truth? Your addiction isn't the problem, you have a skill issue. Sure, of course you shouldn't abuse adult content, nicotine, food, material possessions, but just by quitting those things...
This is true. A lot of highly successful people are fucking degenerate. Like, this is so obvious, and I think people forget it sometimes. I think people believe that every rich person that they see on a boat on Instagram is somehow not addicted to porn or somehow less of a degenerate of them. Like, maybe they're not addicted to porn, but they're probably just buying hookers or something like that. You know what I'm saying? The only difference between you and them is just finance. I don't think that the reality would tell us that being less of a degenerate turns you into an insanely successful person. Like, maybe it does. I think, honestly, like I said, I believe that if you make the distinction between you now and you as a successful person, and then on the other side, you as a successful person is not a degen, then maybe not being a degen will help you be successful. But I do think, like look right now, right? Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, what is he, like a billionaire? The whole movie is about him doing cocaine on the butts of hookers. So it's like...
doesn't mean you're all of a sudden gonna become successful. And this is extremely easy to prove. All I need to do is point at successful people who openly have addiction.
This is such a common phenomenon, and it's not just about success, right? Because success can entail, usually financial stuff. You're talking about success, you're talking about, oh, hey, I'm gonna make a lot of money. I think a lot of people, specifically in the looks maxing space, will highlight an issue with either like your jaw or your height, and then they'll say, hey, you can buy my gum, which is just normal gum, but it has a Greek god on the packaging, so you know that you'll look like that if you chew it, and then you'll get girls. Or, oh yeah, you're not getting girls because you're 5'6", so buy my shoes that have a 2 or 3 inch height booster, and then you'll get girls. You know what I'm saying? So they'll identify a problem and then they'll sell you a solution. So it's not exactly, it's not really, there's no actual correlation there, it's fake. So I should grift? Yeah.
And I know and you know plenty of unsuccessful people who have no such vices. Kanye West self-admitted...
This is so true. Again, yeah.
...said that at the age of 5, he found one of his dad's dirty magazines and was addicted from that point on. Now, the fact that happened was a bad thing, but even despite the addiction, Kanye West became one of the greatest and most influential musicians and fashion designers in the world. You should quit or drastically...
Holy aura.
...influential musicians and fashion...
Dude, Dr. Umar sees this and he literally pulls a gun on his own face. Look at this. Holy snow bunny heaven. These women have literally poisoned the mind. Like, look at these. These women, each of them has single-handedly turned a innocent young girl into a makeup-addicted girl with face and body dysmorphia that considers getting lip fillers, cheek fillers, dermal fillers, buccal fat removal as they stand there with the animal fur, the fake hair, the millions and billions of dollars, and it's crazy. It's actually insane that you look at these. Oh, hey, look at that. Bruce made he made it.
designers in the world. You should quit or drastically reduce the amount of adult content that you watch, but even if you can't, don't act like that's the reason that you aren't achieving your goals. You could wake up at 5 every morning, take a cold shower, meditate, have your coffee, and get sunlight in your eyes like Andrew Huberman, but if you aren't directly working on the tasks that are relevant towards your goals, you're completely wasting your time. The funniest thing is you're gonna get beat by the guy who wakes up at 11, obliterates his Johnson while watching Lana Rhoades get quad stuffed first thing in the morning, hits his grapefruit flavored cancer box, but then actually gets to work on what.
Yeah, I also think that the money it goes to whoever gets it, and that sounds obvious, but if you look at people who just do rug pulls and crypto scams, that has nothing to do with how often you beat your meat and everything to do with where you're working. High leverage situations, you'll always end up on top if you're smart. Like, I think the wealth gap is a great indicator that it doesn't have to do with like beating your meat, and more so has to do with like, you know, manipulating markets, not really contributing anything to society, but rather moving money in around so that it benefits yourself.
But he needs to. You have it backwards. You think that you aren't achieving your goals because of your addictions, but you get addicted because you aren't actively achieving your goals. You feel guilty that you aren't going to the gym or studying or writing or practicing, so you fall back on what gives you comfort. And you think that falling back on what's comfortable is stopping you, but really it's the inaction towards your goals. Because if you were actively working towards your goals, you would have less time to think about your addiction, and therefore would relapse less often. But the fundamental flaw with modern day self-improvement is that it constantly teaches you to think about your addiction.
100%. I was literally just about to say this. I think one of the biggest issues with this type of content is that they spend 30 minutes to an hour highlighting the problems. I think what you understand is that the issue is that, hey, I'm spending all this time beating my meat and not getting anything done. I feel like you don't need a person on YouTube to tell you that's bad. Beating your meat is bad. Do I get 1 million subscribers now? Like, this stuff is so fucking obvious. And it's crazy that this industry has exploded on YouTube of saying the most obvious shit. And people revere you. They really think that you discovered fire for saying absolutely basic things. And I truly think because this stuff gets so many views, that is a good indicator that people are going to be stuck forever. They just watch this shit all the time. Holy shit, beating my meat's so bad. And then they spend an hour listening about why. Do you really need to know why? Do you not know why? Holy shit. It's so crazy to me. It's not that hard. You don't need to spend all this time consuming this content, you know?
You have to constantly be cognizant of how long it's been since you last
the fuck is this?
Busted.
Yeah, don't think about it. Just don't do it. Like, I feel like you need to be retard maxing. It's really so simple, and it's so, it's made way too complicated by people on YouTube. The simple fact of how you should be successful and how you can be successful is just work. Holy shit, it's literally you just work. And if you're not making money, then think about something else. Learn something else. Learn another skill. I mean, I'm naturally very entrepreneurial, so even before YouTube, I was doing things to make money, but I don't know. I think making money is so easy, and I do believe that we live in a time where acquiring wealth and power has never been easier because everyone has access to the internet, so the playing field is completely leveled at this point. Like, if you have an internet access, you have access to all the same resources as everybody else. It's not gate-kept like it used to be. You know, people talk about like old money and new money. There will be fortunes that get passed down for generations, fortunes that are so ridiculously large and so ridiculously unearned that it's almost laughable. But I do believe we still, like, think about what I do, right? I am a dumbass who decided that I want to share my thoughts on the internet in a way that I think can entertain people, and so I did it, and then it worked out. I don't have any special tools or any unique skills that I've acquired from ways that others don't have access to. I'm just myself. I'm just me. I'm Acheeto. I share my thoughts. Maybe I'm a good communicator. Maybe I'm not. I certainly think there's better communicators than me out there, but understanding how to monetize content is information that you can learn totally for free. If you go on YouTube and look up how to monetize my videos, how do I make money off all this stuff, you know, it's really easy. So if you think you're funny, then go record a video of you being funny. And if you don't think you're funny, but you still want to make money online, then just be Bentellect. Just read tweets. You don't even have to be funny. I think that's the biggest misconception too, is that, oh, I'm not, you know, I've heard from some of my friends who I've told that they can make money online, that they're not good in front of a camera, that they don't have the personality for YouTube. But I think that's like, you're looking at it the wrong way if you think that's how it goes, that you need some sort of a unique entertainer personality to be a YouTuber. Dude, there are YouTubers who are retards retards. There are YouTubers that are businessmen, entertainers. There are ASM artists. You can do nothing and make money on YouTube. You know, it's not hard at all. And so if you go into it thinking that you're not built for it, then you've set yourself up to fail. If you go into something knowing that you can dominate it with just the proper guidance and enough time and learning, then you will. I'm a big believer of that. I truly think that if you're confident enough to attack an industry or to break out into some, you know, world of any sort, and you're actually serious about it, I think you will succeed. I think that's one of my strongest beliefs. But like I said, like I don't understand how people look at the success of like other YouTubers. I think one of the biggest issues is that people think, like, they'll see somebody succeeding and they'll believe that there's just like a catch, right? They believe that there's a really fine line between who they are and who the person they're looking at is. And that's one of the biggest issues, right? One of the biggest issues is looking at somebody succeeding and then believing that you are fundamentally incapable of that, right? I think that's some of the biggest brain fog and brain rot that people have, is that they will see somebody succeeding in YouTube or in crypto or in whatever field they're in and believe that who they are and who the person they're looking at is are so fundamentally different that it's like they're watching a movie or something, you know? You're both people, you're both idiots, you're both brains, you were all children, you used to eat applesauce, you used to chew on Legos and put the cylinder in the cylinder hole in that puzzle board. Like, you guys are all the same species, the same race. It's like not hard to imagine that you two could be in the exact same position, you know? I really believe that. I think that people are a lot more, they have a lot, like, you know, that's why courses are so successful, is because courses rely on the fundamental misconception that the person without money and the person with money are just so different. Because the idea of the course is that there's this esoteric knowledge that it has to be paywalled that can turn you into the person that you're seeing on the screen. And what I would argue is that there's nothing that different. Like, just you know, there's a few things here and there that I could teach you for free that you can learn for yourself, or things that you probably already know. And you know, that's why I think, yeah, like, courses are so successful, because they rely on people being ignorant to their own strengths.
In these support groups, the first step is to admit, I am an alcoholic. I am a drug addict. You have to constantly associate yourself with your addiction and let it take up space in your mind. But the simple cure that no one will tell you is to find an environment and a pursuit that's more fulfilling than your current state and addiction. Constantly watching videos about how to quit watching The Hub will never make you permanently quit, and more importantly, will never make you get closer to achieving your goals.
It's so simple, and I'll make it so easy for anybody watching this video who is struggling with porn addiction. Stop. Like, be a fucking adult. Don't be a loser who sits around and watches porn all day. Is that who you are? Are you like the guy who's gonna sit down and watch porn all day? Is that who you are? And if that's who you are, then great. Be that person, because sure, I guess that's how porn companies are worth billions of dollars, thanks to absolute losers like you. But if you're not a fucking loser, then just don't watch it. It's so easy. And if you're watching this channel, then I know that you have a good head on your shoulders, because you trust me and I trust myself more than anybody. So use your fucking head. Put that shit down. Just stop. Like, just don't watch it. Do something else. Literally anything is better than that. You know, within reason, don't do crack or heroin. That might be a little bit worse. But, dude, it's so fucking easy. Just stop watching porn. Just stop. Just stop. It's so, I don't know what to tell you at this point. You know it's bad. You know that everyone knows that it's bad. You are constantly watching videos to tell you what you already know. So at this point, maybe me saying this won't even matter, but maybe you just need it to be said as plainly as possible. Use your fucking brain. Stop being an addicted loser to something that isn't even a literal substance. It's all behavioral, so change your behavior. Obviously, there's a neurochemical interaction that happens, but if you are a normal person that isn't like fully lost or gone and just fell down a slight path where you're gooning all the time, that can happen. It's so easy. It's in your, it's in your phone, and your phone's on you at all times. I get it. But use your brain. Just stop watching it. I feel like if you have any friends, the more time you spend with friends, the less time you can spend gooning. Okay, I think this is one of the easiest things to tell people because it makes the most sense, and it's one of the easiest ways to stop doing this stuff without even like thinking about it. If you're around people, or if you're doing anything that decreases your accessibility to watching porn, then you're quitting without even knowing it, right? Like if you go on a retreat or like a hike or like a camping trip where there's no like cell cell service, you're cold turkeying it without even realizing it, you know? So I think the more things you do that bring you away from that stuff, you'll feel good about it. And by the time you get back from either a camping trip or like anything where you have an extended period of time away from like technology or something, when you get back, I feel like your mind will be reset, and at that point, it's on you to carry that momentum. So yeah, you won't have time to do it if you're occupied. 100%, yeah. And if you're gooning at work, like if you're at work, which is the time that that should be your away time where you're getting better and you're healing. If at work you are still finding a way to goon, I think at that point you need to be shot. Like, I can't help you.
Any sort of action, and all you're really doing is spending more time concerning yourself thinking about your addiction. Constantly thinking about your addiction is literally just going to make you more likely to relapse.
And so I agree with this take up until I think if we're dealing with serious substances. If you are a person who is physically addicted to hard drugs, I don't think there's anything you can do besides get immediate medical help. And there is some reality that, being in a medical facility where they're monitoring you for withdrawal symptoms will remind you of the fact that you're addicted, which can be demoralizing, right? But I do think that there are certain points where medical intervention is absolutely necessary, and things that will make you feel bad about your situation and remind you of your status as an addict are necessary,
And what you don't understand is that your addiction is not the reason that all of your problems exist, and that quitting your addiction will not magically solve all your problems. You think that you can't talk to women because you're addicted to watching The Hub, but that's wrong. You can't talk to women because you don't know how. And the only way you'll learn how is through talking to them even when you're nervous or don't know what to say. And like with any skill, you'll only get better through talking to more women and understanding what communicational triggers will make them like you or not like you.
So I was talking to my friend about this, and I think what I've understood about the world is that I think when it comes to talking to women, one thing I've noticed is that if you match with a woman on a dating app, it is almost guaranteed that you have matched with each other due to a mutual desire for each other's physical looks. Right? You matched with the person on an app because you thought they were hot. And so because you kind of both know that you find each other hot, you can talk about whatever you want, and there's already like a pretty decent chance that you'll be willing to meet up with each other or fuck each other or something like that. But meeting a girl at a, cold environment like the bar or at a party or something like that, I think is very challenging for a lot of young men because there isn't that underlying, approval that you get from matching with a girl. Because if you match with her, you already know that on some level she's attracted to you, even if just a little bit. Whereas at a party or at a bar, you have no idea. She might think you're ugly, she might not even want to talk to you, right? And that, I think, can create negative feedback loops for a lot of people, which can cause them to retreat into dating apps where they already know that if they're talking to someone, there's some level of approval. And that's bad because you're literally confining someone to their comfort zone. And you don't want to live in your comfort zone forever because that eventually becomes like an echo chamber, right? So it's not good. And it also, I think what it does is it really lowers your risk tolerance as a human being, because every time you talk to a person that you don't know, you're taking some kind of risk. You're putting yourself on the line to be criticized or to be rejected in any sort of way. Physically, the conversation can be shut down. All sorts of things can happen that can lead to you feeling disapproved or upset, right? And the reality is, in times before the past 20 years, that was necessary, and it built character, it built mental fortitude. Now you don't have to have that. You can be a pussy. You can retreat to the dating apps and stuff. And I'm guilty of this too, because it is easier for sure. But I think the hardest part is coming to terms with the fact that for your own benefit, it is best to not retreat. So it's really hard to learn to accept that. And besides accepting it, to learn to actually go out and take advantage of that is really hard, but it matters a lot.
Everything I just said were actionable steps, and none of it has to do with quitting your addiction. You could be in your mom's basement gooning 5 hours a day, but as long as you can strike up a conversation with a random girl at your school, college, or workforce without being weird, that's all that matters. And funnily enough, you're actually ahead of the guy who's on a 100-day no-fap streak, but still doesn't have the courage to talk to a random girl. Action is quite literally the only thing that matters, and you can spend all this time on mindset, but it's ultimately pointless if it doesn't lead to anything.
This is 100% true. People have become inactionable, but they consider it to be good because they're sort of arbitrarily measuring these things that don't actually matter. If you're on day 500 of nofap, but you have not seen any improvements with the way that you talk to women, your productivity in general, then the nofap is really for nothing. Like, actually, it's good to not be addicted to porn, but if quitting it has not actually improved your living standards, it's like, well, what's the point, you know? You get what I'm saying? And that quitting porn doesn't actually address the next step, which is to actually now go and to take the actions to improve your productivity. And improving productivity is not easy. You can sort of reach an issue where if quitting porn doesn't do that, you can fall back into it a lot easier, a lot faster.
I mean, we literally admire addicts because their success is not in any way inhibited by their addiction. How many people we all know and love are addicted to women, pharmaceuticals, and especially gambling? Michael Jordan was able to be the most famous person on the planet, an international sports superstar, and dominate the NBA for a decade while also being a crippling gambling addict. It doesn't really seem like his addiction stopped him from doing much. Dana White, regardless of how you feel about his politics or ethics, he quite literally created a sport in the West. I can't think of another sports commissioner who's as integral to their organization as he is to the UFC. And he was able to accomplish all of that while self-admittedly being a degenerate gambler. It's not mutually exclusive. Being an
Dude, this looks like look at this. He's on a fucking oh man, this looks so fun.
While self-admittedly being a degenerate gambler. It's not mutually exclusive. Being an addict is not going to stop you from achieving your goals. Your addictions are not the reason that you're not successful. You're not successful, so you become addicted to make yourself feel better. You're not successful.
I want to play that part again. I think that's a good thing to hammer home.
You from achieving your goals. Your addictions are not the reason that you're not successful. You're not successful, so you become addicted to make yourself feel better.
Exactly. I think that's a good point, because he like he said, we see people who have achieved so much success with crippling addictions and we don't care. It's true. You don't look at any of the rappers that are on drugs and think, wow, that guy's a fucking drug addict. You think, wow, his music's great and he's a good rapper, and then you sing along. So he's 100% right. All of these famous people, they are addicted to sex, they're addicted to money. They have probably more addictions than most people. Nobody really cares because they have the thing that everyone wants, which is success. So yeah, great video. I completely agree, actually. I gotta give this a like.